Good afternoon, and thank you for logging on and joining us from wherever you are in Australia or even overseas, either live or by video. My name is Karen Taylor Brown, and I'll be hosting today's webinar recorded on the 9th of September 2020. I'm set up here in Refraction Media's Sydney studio in Gadigal country, and I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land. And I'm grateful to be here, and I acknowledge our First Nations people as the original STEM innovators and the traditional owners of Australia, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to the Careers with STEM Next Gen Careers series. Today's careers and jobs are rapidly evolving with new, exciting and unexpected career areas emerging that are in high demand. But you might not have had the chance to study these subjects at school because they're so new, and you might not know anyone who works in these areas. So how can you get prepared for the careers of the future? At Careers with STEM, we host regular webinars that deep dive into the most in-demand and emerging career areas to help you prepare for the future. We'll be meeting real-world STEM professionals live and give you the lowdown on paths into next-generation careers. And you'll have the chance to ask your questions directly to our STEM people. You can ask them anything, like how they got into their dream career, what was their favourite subject at school, and what advice would they give to someone at school. But first, a huge thanks to our sponsor, who is all about showing you the best pathways into the coolest careers, the Queensland University of Technology. Time to meet your presenter. My name's Karen Taylor Brown, and I'm the co-founder of Careers with STEM and Refraction Media, a STEM specialist media company. In 2014, my business partner and I founded the Careers with STEM Hub, which includes a quarterly magazine that we deliver to every Australian secondary school for free each term. These range from each of the STEM disciplines, plus special editions like data science and cybersecurity. We manage the Careers with STEM website, where you can find updated news, videos and career quizzes. And we do webinars and video interviews like this one. You'll also find the new job kits on our website, where we unpack exciting jobs like software engineer or machine learning engineer. You can find these on our website, and we're going to be soon adding some new ones, including data scientist and robotics engineer, plus a whole bunch more. At Careers with STEM, we believe that everyone should have equal access to build a better future. Many of tomorrow's careers will combine STEM skills with other areas. We call it STEM plus X, like technology plus fashion equals 3D printed clothes. Maths plus sport equals footy statistician. STEM jobs are growing at 1.9 times faster than other jobs, yet enrolments in STEM degrees and courses are growing much more slowly, or even declining, especially for women and minorities. We'd like to change that. Today's webinar is going to include a top-line overview of data science jobs, courses, employers, and real-life case studies. I've put this information together using a couple of Careers with STEM special issues, the data science issue and the recent maths and data issue. If you don't have a copy of these, you can find the e-versions at careerswithstem.com. Just click on the eMags tab. During the presentation, I'll introduce you to 3 real-life data scientists who are standing by right now to tell you about their jobs and how they got into them, as well as some unexpected insights into the life of a data scientist. Now, let's talk data scientist. What does a data scientist actually do? Data scientists collect and report on data and communicate their findings to both business, government, and technology leaders in a way that can influence how an organisation approaches a challenge. There are 2.7 million jobs available globally in data science right now, in areas from healthcare to technology, finance, retail, business, the environment, and much more. And with 24 billion smart devices in use, producing 1.7 megabytes of data per person per second, the need for people who can understand and use data is only going to grow. Yet, many students and their teachers and parents don't know what data scientists do or the pathway into these career areas. Data isn't just produced by social media or on your smartphone. It's everywhere. It has the potential to revolutionize every industry. The only thing lacking is the actual data scientist to pull it off. Data science can be applied to so many problems, and today's data scientists are reaping the rewards of the shortfall in data science, with graduates able to expect starting salaries of 61,000 plus, and it only gets better. More experienced data scientists are taking home salaries of up to $135,000 a year. Data analysts can pocket up to $98,000 per year, and data engineers are earning up to $125,000 per year. So where can you find these data science careers? They are everywhere, literally in every industry. You can find data scientists working in security, health, retail, business, finance, and the environment, and many other industries. They find patterns and predict trends to help people understand issues and make better decisions. Data science majors and graduates have many career options. As well as data scientists, they have the knowledge to become data solutions managers or analysts in areas such as market intelligence, information systems, and business. We're going to look at the data science careers you can discover in security, health, retail, business, and finance, as well as the environment. There are many paths into data science careers. Data science is offered as a major at most universities within other STEM or science, technology, engineering, and maths degrees. Look at courses like Bachelor of Science, Advanced Computing, or Engineering. You can also specialise in a postgrad master's degree in data science after a general degree. Forward-thinking universities are also creating entirely new undergraduate degrees that are a great way to specialise too, like QUT's Bachelor of Data Science. You can combine data science with courses in other STEM degrees as well, like IT, mathematics, engineering, and science, or even with design and business. So where can these qualifications lead you? Data science is the fastest growing career area globally, so fast that education is struggling to keep up. Some facts about data science careers. The median salary for database jobs is rising at 4% a year. Data science jobs pay 3 times the average Australian wage, and Australia is one of the top 10 employers of data scientists globally. Careers in data science are hugely varied, and the companies you could work for include tech companies such as Apple, IBM, Microsoft, and Telstra, finance companies like the Commonwealth Bank, and consulting firms like KPMG and Accenture, or online retailers like the iconic Coles or Amazon. You could also work for health and environment research at a university or the CSIRO, or for a mental health organisation like the Black Dog Institute. So what are the other fields where data scientists work? Security careers like cybersecurity also need data scientists. Data scientists collect insights from big data while cybersecurity professionals work to protect it. In India, police located 3,000 missing children within 4 days thanks to a new facial recognition system that collected and analysed 45,000 images of faces. This year, the Australian Federal Police are running a hackathon where cybersecurity students and budding data scientists can team up to find missing persons around Australia. Data science and business. One well-known data scientist is Matt Agnew. Matt was a trained astrophysicist when he was the Bachelor in 2019. He went on to work at the National Australia Bank as a data analyst. He was able to transfer his skills in astrophysics, the study of data about outer space, to business. As the automated workforce grows and demand for adaptable skills across a range of areas increases, studies show that those who present themselves as agile, like an astrophysicist who can mine data, will open themselves up to a host of opportunities. Traditional transferable skills like time management, organisational ability, research capability, and networking are valuable to any industry, but so are niche talents exclusive to STEM like coding fluency, data mining smarts, and basic programming capabilities. Increasingly, businesses are relying on data to plan and make better decisions. And I'm really excited to be joined now by a data scientist who works for an energy company, helping them make better decisions using data. Caitlin Nicholas is a graduate at Energex, a part of Energy Queensland. Having completed a double degree in engineering and mathematics in 2019 at QUT, she now applies data science in the power industry. Currently, Caitlin is working on a model to accurately predict power pole replacements. Her passions include analytics, mathematics, and programming. Hi, Caitlin. Welcome to the webinar. Where did you go to school and what were your favourite subjects?
So I went to school in Brisbane at St. Rita's College, and my favourite subjects were maths, physics, and German. I really liked that with maths, there was always a correct answer and you could do things in a very methodical way. Physics was really sort of real world problems and it explained how things worked.
What a great combination. And when you were at school, did you have any career goals?
So when I was at school, I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do. Initially, I wanted to be a teacher, and then I wanted to be a doctor. And when it came time to my QTAC preferences, I just had no idea. So I thought, well, I like maths and I like physics, so maybe I'll do engineering. A year into my degree, I figured out that I did not have enough maths in it. And so I took on an extra degree and did a double degree with engineering and maths. And that's when I figured out that I really liked this thing called data science.
I love that. I didn't have enough maths, so you needed to seek out more maths. So where did you do your double degree?
Yep, so I did my double degree at QUT, and it was a 5-year degree that I took my time with and did it over 6 years.
And was it hard doing a double degree?
I think it was really good because I enjoyed the fact that I had both maths and engineering units. So with maths, you're learning a lot of theory and understanding that kind of thing, whereas engineering was really practical. So we were building model bridges, we were creating systems. It kind of had that good balance of two different perspectives. So I think it was quite good.
And did you do anything specifically related to data science while you're at university?
Yeah, so it took me a while to find this data science domain. And once I found it, I knew that I loved it. But the way that I got to figure out that I really enjoyed data science was by taking on different internships and getting involved at university. So initially, I worked as a student engineer and I learnt some things while I was in that position that I really enjoyed and other things that perhaps weren't up my alley. I then decided to try something completely different and I became a private banker. So we were looking after clients with high incomes to manage their finances. Again, I learned some things that I really enjoyed, practical aspects, but there was definitely some things that weren't up my alley. So I kept looking. Eventually, I stumbled upon a data analyst role, and that's when I really found out how much I love data science.
Now you're working at Internships, an energy business. How did you get that job?
Yeah, so I was really fortunate during university to get a placement with Internships, and I continued working there casually as a student. I worked in the control room where all of the network outages and different actions happen. So when the power goes out somewhere or a storm comes through an area, we were the ones who were fixing it up and making sure that we could keep the lights on to as many places as possible in the most safe manner. So after my time there, I applied for the graduate program and now I'm on a 3-year program where we do 6-month rotations in different areas to learn a whole range of different skills.
So Caitlin, in your job at Energex, you use data to predict and plan for power pole replacements. How do you do that?
Yep, so we have over 1 million power poles in the Ergon region, which is essentially everywhere in Queensland except for the southeast Queensland corner. And what we do is we have a different number of attributes that poles have. So for example, they have a length, they have a strength, they have a species. And we also go out into the field and measure their condition at regular intervals. So we take all of these variables relating to poles and we analyze them, figure out what trends are happening, and then use that to predict the future life of these poles. Ideally, it's to ensure the safety and that we're optimizing our program of work.
And do you get out of the office very much, Caitlin?
Yeah, definitely. So with a really practical organisation and a practical project, I'm out in the field watching pole replacements, learning about the process that they go through, as well as their inspections and their nailings. And it's that really practical side of the data science. So you create your code in the office and you learn all the theory, and then you apply it and make sure that it's working in the real world.
What would you say is the best thing about your job?
I love everything about my job. I think for me, it's a really meaningful organisation, so I can see the work that I'm doing. As I drive around the streets of Brisbane, I'm looking at the power poles and figuring out ways that I can do a better job at my model to ensure that all power poles are safe for people to be around.
So Caitlin, what's next for you?
Oh, so many things. So with the graduate program, we're fortunate to rotate around, as I mentioned. And one of the things that we're able to do is partake in the storm season roster. So over summer, I'll be in the office at late hours, early mornings, to make sure that when a storm comes through or a cyclone or a fire or anything like that, we're getting power back on safely and as quickly as possible.
So Caitlin, in your job at Internships, you use data to predict and plan for power pole replacements. How do you do that?
Yep, so we have over 1 million power poles in the Ergon region, which is essentially everywhere in Queensland except for the southeast Queensland corner. And what we do is we have a different number of attributes that poles have. So for example, they have a length, they have a strength, they have a species. And we also go out into the field and measure their condition at regular intervals. So we take all of these variables relating to poles and we analyse them, figure out what trends are happening, and then use that to predict the future life of these poles. Ideally, it's to ensure the safety and that we're optimising our program of work.
And do you get out of the office very much, Caitlin?
Yeah, definitely. So with a really practical organisation and a practical project, I'm out in the field watching pole replacements, learning about the process that they go through, as well as their inspections and their nailings. And it's that really practical side of the data science. So you create your code in the office and you learn all the theory, and then you apply it and make sure that it's working in the real world.
What would you say is the best thing about your job?
I love everything about my job. I think for me, it's a really meaningful organisation, so I can see the work that I'm doing. As I drive around the streets of Brisbane, I'm looking at the power poles and figuring out ways that I can do a better job at my model to ensure that all power poles are safe for people to be around.
That's awesome. So Caitlin, what's next for you?
Oh, so many things. So with the graduate program, we're fortunate to rotate around, as I mentioned. And one of the things that we're able to do is partake in the storm season roster. So over summer, I'll be in the office at late hours, early mornings, to make sure that when a storm comes through or a cyclone or a fire or anything like that, we're getting power back on safely and as quickly as possible.
That's so great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I had no idea there was so much data science involved in power poles and energy, and I'm so glad that somebody's looking after it. If you can just stand by, we're going to call you back in a few moments to a panel, but meanwhile, I'm going to jump back into the presentation.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I had no idea there was so much data science involved in power poles and energy, and I'm so glad that somebody's looking after it. If you can just stand by, we're going to call you back in a few moments to a panel, but meanwhile, I'm going to jump back into the presentation. From data science in business to data science in health. Health is increasingly dependent on the work of data scientists to keep us all well. So if your thing is health or sports, there are a bunch of data science opportunities for you in these areas. In the medical field, scientists at the Institute of Cancer Research London and the University of Edinburgh are using big data to predict tumour growth in cancer patients by recognising patterns in their genetic code. Sports science has changed massively in just a few years thanks to hundreds of millions of data records. This sports data revolution is creating a big demand for maths, stats and data scientists. One recent successful sports data project has been with triathlons, an Olympic sport that includes running, swimming and cycling. Triathlon Australia hired an athlete health specialist in 2018 to monitor health and training data and conduct daily surveys with athletes. The data analyst at Triathlon Australia says that since then, injuries in triathletes who have been part of this athlete health system have plummeted. And I'm really pleased to be joined now by a data scientist who actually works in health, Dr. Susanna Cram. Dr. Susanna Cram says she has the best job in the world because she's a biostatistician. Over the course of her career, Susanna has used statistical methods to analyse and interpret data across a range of health conditions and diseases of international importance. Now working at QT as a Strategic Research Fellow, Susanna's research focuses on investigating health inequities. Her work has helped inform government strategies to reduce cancer inequities based on where people live. Recently, Susanna received a prestigious Young Tall Poppy Science Award from the Australian Institute of Policy and Science. Susanna, please join me now. First of all, what I'd love to know is where you went to school and what were your favourite subjects at school?
Sure. So I went to a small school on the north side of Brisbane called Muir College. And my favourite subjects, I really enjoyed everything. I just loved learning. But in senior, I did the straight maths science, and I guess I really did enjoy the maths a lot.
Great. And did you have any idea while you were at high school of what you might want to do after school as a career?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was determined I was going to be a medical doctor.
So what happened? You're not a medical doctor now.
No. So I started out doing my medical science degree, which was what people normally did before they did medicine. And that was a great degree. But then after that, I went to study public health and tropical medicine. And during that, we had to do epidemiology and we had to do a biostatistics subject. And I just completely fell in love with the statistics when I actually experienced just how useful and powerful it could actually be.
I love that. You fell in love with statistics. It sounds like a romance story. Tell me, how did that begin? Where did the love start?
Well, like all good love stories, it really started out hating each other. So in high school, the slight exposure we had to statistics, I really did not enjoy it. I just found it very strange. I loved everything else about maths, but the statistics seemed really weird and peculiar. And then in medical science, we did one mathematics and statistics subject. And again, I just did not like it. It was all about calibrating laboratory machinery, incredibly important and incredibly dull. So I really had decided statistics was not for me at all. So I was completely shocked then when I actually did this complete turnaround and decided I want to pursue a career in that.
So you love statistics, and this is a webinar about data science. Can you tell me what's the difference between statistics and data science?
Sure. So I think data science in general tends to be quite a more broad umbrella term. So many applied statisticians would call themselves a data scientist, but people who've done computer programming could also call themselves a data scientist. People who develop like visual dashboards for people to interact with, they could also call themselves a data scientist. So data science is incredibly broad.
Excellent. Susanna, can you tell us a little bit about your job? I don't quite understand what the title is. Tell us what it means and what you do day to day.
Sure. So I have a really great job title. It's a Strategic Research Fellow, which I just love having on my business cards. But my job is actually really whatever I want it to be because I'm on a fellowship. So I can do the research I want to do. So for me, a typical day in the office would involve meeting with students, would involve meeting with collaborators. I'd probably also spend some time analysing data, which is great, writing papers, and spending far too much time trying to deal with emails as well.
You work with managing information around people's health. Can you tell me a little bit about an example of that?
Sure. So I've done a lot in cancer. I'm also starting to look at injuries as well. But really, it's about deciding, we have this incredible data on these conditions, but no one's really looked much at how it actually varies based on the diagnosis rates or the survival for cancer, how that might vary based on where people live. So we've actually analysed the data to actually see what the patterns are like across small areas like suburbs across the entire state of Queensland and also across the country of Australia.
So Susanna, I'm hearing a lot in the news at the moment about using data to manage our current COVID pandemic. Can you give us some insights into what the data scientists working on that issue would be doing each day?
Yeah, and COVID's been amazing, I think, for bringing data science and the importance of analysing data to the fore. Now, data scientists can be working in a whole range of areas. So I personally know people who are analysing data to try and predict what's going to happen next. So they're analysing data from hospitals, analysing data from clinics. People are trying to predict how the health system can best respond. People are trying to predict if, the current measures, say in Victoria with the lockdown, when is it safe for that to actually lift? We've been seeing good impact from having that lockdown, but it's incredibly intense for the people living under it. There's people predicting, economic measures. And there's people predicting how do people perceive their risk and how are they modifying their behavior accordingly. And often that's using different survey data and checking with people each few weeks, you know, what are you doing now? Do you think you're at risk of the virus? So there's an incredible way people are approaching COVID-19. But I think the good thing has been people have really come together, researchers, you know, ethics committees have worked hard to get ethics approvals through quickly. Data access has been granted really quickly, so people can really get in and do this critical research well.
Susanna, tell me, what do you love most about your job?
It's a great question. Honestly, I think for me, you know, the reason I want to be a doctor is I really want to help people. And I think for me, what I love about my job is that I can do what I love in terms of analyzing data and using numbers and everything. But at the end of the day, I'm helping people. And the other way that I love helping people through my job is actually mentoring my PhD students. So doing a PhD, you develop a long-term relationship with them, and it's just been so incredibly rewarding to see how they grow and develop and become independent researchers themselves.
What's next for you, Susanna?
Yeah, so the Queensland Injury Atlas is the next kind of big project I'm working on at the moment. So we're hoping to have a pilot of that ready by the end of the year. So it's all systems go. But yeah, apart from that, I think just enjoying analysing data.
Thanks, Susanna, for sharing those insights of what it's really like to be a data science working in the health industry. I'm going to pop back into our presentation now, but I'll call you back shortly when we've got the panel together to answer audience questions. Something we're all familiar with is shopping, and data science plus shopping is a great combination. Data scientists provide companies with the information they need so they can make smarter and better informed business decisions. They hunt down numbers to uncover new insights, predict trends, and understand complex consumer behaviours. All kinds of places employ data scientists, even the fun ones like Netflix, BuzzFeed, and Instagram. They all employ data scientists to uncover the kinds of things we want to see, read, and buy. A data scientist might even be behind the decision to renew your favourite TV show for another season, and the reason those ads keep popping up on your Instagram feed, or the reason that dress you love is now on sale. Michelle Lugton is a data scientist at retailer Coles. Her daily to-dos include meeting with stakeholders to understand challenges for the business and brainstorming on how we can use machine learning techniques to solve problems. Shira Sagar is the head of analytics and data science at fashion e-tailer The Iconic. His day-to-day tasks? Well, 62% of his time goes to solving business user problems, 23% into working with the team to unblock existing roadblocks, and 15% into talking to the wider business about how they can make their customers' lives better with data, broken down like a true data scientist. And finally, Jared Wong is a data scientist at social tech company Digivisor. The fun part of his job is reading tweets, exploring Instagram, and watching YouTube. He says data experts take the guesswork out of making business decisions, so they're in high demand. Data science plus finance. Banks are looking for maths and data experts like QUT graduate Avalon Martinkus to help them assess the risks of things like climate change. Analysing how sea level rise might impact Australia's coastal areas was not something Avalon thought she would be using her maths degree for. But more and more banks, governments, and other organisations are looking for people with maths skills to help them. As a quantitative analyst with the Bank of Queensland, Avalon's main job is to help build and maintain computer models to assess the credit risk of customers. Her team does a lot of analysis to understand the bank's readiness for certain types of extreme events and the money that will be needed to cover potential losses. Data science plus the environment. It's never been more important that we use data to help protect and preserve our environment. For example, using smart energy, which is all about sustainable electricity usage to help address climate change. Data scientists are matching supply and demand in a sustainable energy model that's smarter in more ways than ever. Smart meters are digital devices that measure in real time the amount of electricity used and then send this data to energy distributors every 30 minutes. They're connected to the internet, making it possible to compile all the usage data and find patterns in it. Data scientists find ways to process electricity usage data in real time. To do this, they tap into smart energy grids, Computer technology added to traditional electricity networks make production more efficient, reliable, economic, and sustainable. Data can also be helped to protect our environments and save our ecosystems. I'm now going to ask our next panellist to join us, Dr. Kate Hemstead. Kate is a mathematician and a university lecturer. She uses data and maths to help save the environment, from threatened species like bilbies and wallabies to critical ecosystems like the Great Barrier Reef and Antarctica. Kate has always worked in mathematics research, and her career journey has taken her from Brisbane to Canada to Paris to San Francisco. She loves working with a whole range of different people, including ecologists, biologists, economists, and people who make government policy, all in order to make a positive change in the world while using maths and data science. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Where did you go to school and what were your favourite subjects?
I went to a school in Brisbane called Cannon Hill Anglican College. My favourite subject was actually English, but a close second was mathematics.
Do you have any idea of what career you wanted?
No, so I was not a student that had a lot of vision when I was in high school. There were a lot of things that I was interested in, and maths was one of them. But I think maths often suffers from this issue that we don't know mathematicians in our life. We don't see a lot of mathematicians in TVs and movies. And so we don't kind of realize that that's a choice that we can make, that we can think about that as a career going forward. And so I was kind of a little bit lost in high school. And it was only once I got to university that I realized that I could kind of study this thing that I'm really interested in and good at, and that it leads to this like massive amount of jobs and opportunities in the world.
So did you go to university straight out of high school?
I did, yeah. So I think straight out of high school, I was originally enrolled in a pharmacy degree, which I changed my mind on before even starting my undergrad studies, because I couldn't make decisions. And so I went straight to university and I started studying engineering in my first year. And then I realized the parts of engineering that I really loved was maths and like really coming at problems from a mathematical perspective and kind of being a little bit of a maths detective and working them out. And so I cut the engineering part of that and really focused then on mathematics, which ended up being an awesome choice. But at the time felt like this really big leap of faith. And yeah, I just kind of wish that I had known more about the maths careers at the time.
I love that, maths detective. That's a term I'm going to start using. When you were at university, was data science a thing?
Oh, absolutely not. Well, it wasn't a word that we used for sure. So we talked about statistics, and I suppose we talked about science, about data, about like using data for these types of questions. But we weren't thinking about data science as a career choice going forward. And I'm not sure if that's because the career didn't exist yet, or whether the information just hadn't filtered down for us to know about it. But certainly it's not like now where you look at job ads and so many different things are about data science, and every company wants a data scientist, and many companies we wouldn't have thought of as being mathematical or statistical want, to have this team with this specialty. That has really grown up in the past decade, and it's really exciting to see that.
Definitely. Kate, can you tell us a little bit about what a typical day in your work life looks like?
Yeah, so I'm a university lecturer, and what that means is that part of my time is spent lecturing and teaching and mentoring students, and that's a part that I love. So I develop the units and the lectures and the workshop materials and the assignments that you might do at university, and I teach in classrooms, and I teach in workshops and hands-on computer labs. And so that's kind of the teaching part of my role. And then the other half of my job looks at doing mathematical research. And that sounds kind of confusing. It sounds like, am I inventing new mathematics every day? Hasn't maths always existed? Don't we know now everything we ever knew about data and statistics? But really what my mathematical research is about is taking the maths and the data science that we know how to use and that we know and has been developed, and kind of adjusting it a little bit and applying it to really different and exciting circumstances.
Circumstances like the environment, which is an area that you have a particular interest in.
Yep.
What kind of data do you use when you're protecting our environment?
Yeah, so the mathematics that I'm really interested in is about how we can guide better management of our environmental resources and our species and ecosystems, so that we can kind of get everything that our society needs out of the environment while not kind of crashing the world that we have. So it's about sustainability, it's about managing species. And so the types of information that I use are really varied. So of course there's biological information, like where species are in a landscape, and you can get that information from satellites, so remote sensed data, or you can get it from animals can wear little sensors and they're kind of tracked around the environment, which is really cool. Some of this species information comes from drones. Some of it comes from people actually having to go out and look at the species. But it's not just that type of data that we use. So there's also, you know, if we want to understand how people interact with the environment, we need economic data about how people use the world. We need human distribution data, where people are and how they kind of spread through space. So it's really all of these different types of data and all these different data sources and data classes that come together and get stitched together through data science to answer these kind of pressing environmental problems.
Great, and that's the beauty of data science, is having the skill to bring all those different pieces together.
That's right.
Hey, what's been your favourite animal species you've worked on from a data perspective?
So I've worked on a bunch of different species. So threatened Australian animals, really cute ones like wallabies and quokkas. If you've never seen a quokka, look it up. But my favorite one that I've ever written an academic paper about is reindeers, because I believed until the second year of my undergraduate degree that reindeers were an imaginary mythical species. And so I'm really happy to have learned that late in my life and then have done like real proper data science and mathematics on that species.
I love that, myth busting with data. And what's the thing you love most about your job?
So I love interacting with up and coming mathematicians and students and data scientists and kind of seeing the work that I do through that lens. It's so exciting because, you know, the world is so different from when I was a student. And so it's really exciting to see people coming and looking at things with these fresh eyes. But then I also really love this idea and you know, why I'm really happy in my career is because I've found this way to do what I love, which is mathematics and data science, but really answer questions that are important for the world and that people really care about and that are potentially going to make a difference. And I think, you know, that's really important for my career satisfaction, but also just like day-to-day satisfaction.
Excellent. And finally, Kate, what's next for you?
So I lead some exciting research in my job at QUT. So we're looking at using maths and data science to preserve the Great Barrier Reef, kind of given climate change issues that are happening, plus looking at saving ecosystems in Antarctica, which I think is really cool, and fingers crossed I might get to go down and check out the penguins down there as well.
Oh, I hope you do. Thank you so much, Kate. It's been wonderful hearing more about your story, and we'll chat to you soon on the panel.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to invite our three panellists to rejoin us so we can answer some questions from our audience. The first question is, what do you think students should do more of at school?
I wish that I had done a bit more programming. So I only discovered programming in my second year of university. And whilst it wasn't too late to sort of learn programming at that time and develop my skills, I wish that I'd been able to try it sooner and get to know more and more about programming at an earlier age.
When you're at school, there's so many options for your career out there. So I just encourage you to keep a really open mind. You know, I was determined I'm going to be a medical doctor. Didn't happen. I'm in such a better career now than I would have been if I'd stuck to my original plan. So keeping an open mind and just trying as many things as you can. If an opportunity comes up to, say, check out a workplace or talk to a person in a particular career, or even just try something different to expand your skills, absolutely seize it.
So I think there's a lot of answers to this, right? Like you can get more coding experience. If you like maths, you can get more maths experience or hands-on data experience. But I think my message here is that life is long and that your career is long. And so just because you haven't filled a specific gap in high school doesn't mean that you can't pivot and fill that gap and learn those things in university. The decisions that you make when you're 15 or 16 don't need to really drive your decisions later in life. You can change those and explore. And so I think what I would say is in high school, use the time figuring out what it is that you like doing. And if you like mathematics, is it just maths that you like, or is it other things you might combine it with later? And really thinking kind of more holistically about what will make you happy, like what will be an interesting career for you.
The next question is, how can I get an internship?
Having industry experience is so incredibly useful and vital. So if you're at a university, there should be people there you can talk to about getting internships. That would be your best first point of contact. Most universities do have kind of work integrated learning as part of their undergraduate degrees. QUT is very big on that. If you're choosing a university, I'd encourage you to choose a university that offers those kind of options. It'll really help you get a job afterwards. But in terms of external people, I'd recommend AMSI, the Australian Mathematical Sciences Institute. They offer a great thing called API interns, and it covers a whole range of data science related fields, but often has health things as well. So keep an eye on that. SARO can also offer more undergraduate internships as well. So they're another good option. And the other thing, it's not an industry internship, but just in terms of increasing your experience, I'd highly recommend doing like a VRES, so a Vacation Research Scholarship. You don't get paid much, but it's really good experience. And I actually got my first job at University of Queensland through doing a VRES there.
I think it's really important to take on internships when you're studying. For me, I said that I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so taking on those internships and those experiences and seeing different companies and cultures and people, it really helped me to hone in on my skill set and the things that I really enjoy. And I definitely recommend that anyone who's studying takes on those opportunities to learn and grow.
Do I have to be a Maths Wiz to work in data science?
Definitely not. So I love maths and it's always been a passion of mine. But I have had tutoring students who really struggled to grasp the concepts and found it quite challenging. And they've gone on to study maths at university. So you don't have to be the fastest person. You just have to enjoy the process and make the most of it. A degree in maths or data science will help you in so many different areas.
Absolutely not. So I teach mathematics. I see a lot of undergraduate students, and it's not always the students who are top of their maths class in high school that go on to be really excellent and really inspired data scientists. It's not about just having mathematical skills or mathematical excellence. It's about all of these other parts of the job that come to different types of people. So creativity and problem solving and wanting to look for different types of solutions and the ability to think about a problem from a different perspective and then communicate your answers. All of those things make you an excellent mathematician or statistician or data scientist. It's not about just being, tippy top or straight A's in maths.
What would you say to someone who's interested in studying a STEM degree but isn't sure what to choose?
I say go for it. Pick any of the STEM degrees that you think you might be interested in, and you'll figure out along the way whether you are interested in that one, or perhaps maybe you're drawn more to another degree. In that case, at QUT, I found it really easy to switch into my double degree. So if you get into the one STEM degree and you find that you want to change to another, it's a really simple process at QUT.
One thing that I think we don't tell high school students enough is that once you're in the university ecosystem, it's really easy to change. So once you start a degree and start exploring a degree and what STEM is outside of high school and what STEM is in the real world, then you can change your degree. You can add a double degree or add a minor or add a different major or change completely like I did in my undergraduate. All that's much easier once you're in the university. And so I would say if you're struggling to decide what you want to do, just pick something. Just pick something and explore it and use that first year of your studies to think, about what other options are available to you, because once you're there, you're exposed to so much exciting stuff.
I think, you know, when I did university, I felt there were a lot of choices, and now I think it's expanded about 100-fold more choices than when I was going there. So it is a big decision and it can feel really hard. So I'd encourage you to firstly know that, you know, whatever you decide to do, you can change when you're at university. And you know, I had really diverse different degrees in what I did, but at the end of the day, each one of those I've actually made use in some way. Like even medical science, it's been really useful for me to know all that medical terminology in what I've done subsequently. So it can often be made use of and kind of help you build your own niche career regardless if you do decide to change. But the other thing is just talking to people. So, you know, you can stalk people on Twitter now. You can like look at university websites. You can look at professional association websites and just contact people and say, look, could I just have a coffee with you? I just want to talk and find out more about your job. Because the tricky thing is you might love a subject at school, but the actual job is so very different. Like school maths, nothing like working like a mathematician. School stats, nothing like working like a statistician. Even the same for biology and everything as well. So it's really hard to know what job you'd love until you've kind of experienced it and learned more about it.
And what are the top 2 skills someone needs to have a successful career in data science?
I think the top 2 skills for data science are problem solving and communication. Problem solving is really important because every scenario you get in data science is a problem that you have to solve. So you have to figure out how to approach it in the best method. And then the key thing is communication. So once you've solved your problem and you've got your solution, you need to be able to communicate that to other people in the business. If you've got an amazing solution that's absolutely perfect, but you fail to share that with someone or explain it, then you're not going to be able to put that into action. So you need to make sure that you use good problem solving skills and effective communication.
Often I'd say like top 5 or 6, but if I stick to 2, then I would say curiosity. And that's because data science is constantly evolving. You know, there's more methods being developed, there's more data sets being created, there's more programs and software being developed as well. So you need that curiosity, keep learning, keep exploring, I think is really critical. But also creativity. You know, there's actually no right or wrong. You can actually analyze data a lot of different ways. And being creative in how you do it, being creative in how you communicate your results can actually be really useful.
So I think creativity, we don't think of it as being that important for something that feels a bit hard, a bit like a hard science like mathematics, but creativity lets you come at problems from different perspectives and think about how we can put all of our different data and data science theory together to answer problems. So creativity would be one of my top ones. And then communication. So ability to communicate to people that are like you, so other mathematicians and data scientists, but also people who might want to consume the things that you do. So who are you trying to communicate your results with and your outcomes with? All of that makes you an excellent data scientist.
I think, you know, if you're considering a career in data science, like what I love about being a statistician is you can combine any interest you have to make your dream career. So for me, it was health, but no matter what you're interested in, whether it's, you know, sport or the environment or climate or fashion or business, like you can take that and you can combine it with statistics or data science in some way to give you exactly what you love getting up and doing every day.
But maths is cool and maths is fun and maths is for everyone.
If today's conversation about data science has piqued an interest for you, you might want to check out QUT's new Bachelor of Data Science. QUT is the only Queensland university with a standalone Bachelor of Data Science. It's brand new in 2021. It's newly designed, and this degree tackles real-world problems using real-time data sets from different industries. And you can choose to do it on campus in Brisbane or 100% online. So if you don't live in Queensland, you can still study at QUT. To find out more about this degree and other STEM degrees, go to qut.edu.au/think-STEM. And that brings us to the end of the Next Gen Careers webinar on data science. Thank you so much to our data science panelists, Caitlin, Kate and Susanna, for joining. us today and sharing some insights about their career. Thank you to our audience for logging on and sharing your questions. And thanks to anyone that's viewing this on the Careers with STEM YouTube channel. You can follow Careers with STEM for more stories and videos on all sorts of surprising and unexpected STEM careers. Check out our socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn, or you can also sign up for our regular e-newsletter at careerswithstem.com. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again online soon.